A pathless wilderness, wild, rugged, that was South Dakota. A hardy frontier, far from the paths of civilization.
Why die on Mars when you can live in South Dakota?
Where fortune beckoned with a glittering smile.
I was hauling pigs on the interstate. You were in a red car having a problem with your shirt.
And life hung on the quickness of a trigger finger.
Podcast Palooza.
The Sioux Empire Podcast.
This is Robert Mehling with the Sioux Empire Podcast, and I am joined today by Brian Wirth, who is an independent candidate for State Senate District 25. Welcome to the show, Brian.
Thank you, Robert.
Tell us a little bit about yourself. I will be honest, I've been following the governor's race pretty close, but I have not gotten into a lot of the local districts, especially 25 is a little further north than me. So tell us a little bit about yourself, your district, and why you're running.
Sure. I'm originally from Hurley, South Dakota. I've been in South Dakota my whole life. I went to USD, got degrees in political science and criminal justice.
Really? What years?
I was there 2001 to 2005.
We probably had classes together, because I was political science and criminal justice, and I was all over the place. I did, because I had anthropology and history in there too. But
fun. Why not?
But yeah, I'm just like, I'm wondering, like, did we take Dr. Card's South Dakota politics together? Maybe.
Probably.
That sounds about right. That's crazy.
Tim Shorn was my advisor.
Okay. Awesome.
Yeah.
So yeah, good old days.
Yes. So I actually have my best friend back then, sister worked for Tom Daschle and actually was trying to get an internship there, but he got voted out when I was a junior in college, so that kind of went through. And then I wasted no time starting a family with my then girlfriend, now wife. We have two kids, 11 and 8. My oldest is in 6th grade, my youngest 3rd. I kind of guilty of, like a lot of people, of not really following local politics very well. One thing that did get my attention was when Initiative Measure 22 got repealed.
Oh, yes.
Because that had a lot of support amongst voters, and then the state Congress to just turn around and repeal it on us is kind of a betrayal in my mind. And it wasn't until well into starting my campaign and already actually being on the ballot I learned that the incumbent I'm running against is one of the people who led the way in repealing that, and it's because the lobbyists told her to.
Oh yes, I remember that session with the gold watches and the all the stuff going on there. I was a pretty vocal critic of them doing that. I mean, like declaring a state of emergency because people voted on something. You know. Yeah. That's an emergency, man.
And then I think they said they were gonna put something, fix it, but they never did.
Of course not. I mean, yeah, that's just like, oh yeah, we'll totally come back and fix it. Sorry, I can't finish that sentence without laughing. Yeah.
So that got me to pay attention more, think globally, act locally.
Sure.
I actually left both parties in about 2009 after I registered in Del Rapids. Been in Del Rapids for 9 years because of the banking bailout of 2008. I found that is unforgivable. Both parties bailed out large banks, but they didn't bail out working class people or the middle class.
The what now? I'm sorry. Is that another type of bank or like security I don't know about?
I was raised, you work hard, you're honest, things will work out for you. And my dad's a farmer, he still is. Farmers are the hardest working people in this state. I mean, they're the backbone of our economy. So much depends on them, but yet, they're not getting their fair share. The family farms need to be more supported. We need to move away from concentrated animal feeding operations and corporate farms, move things back towards local small business.
Sure. Now, District 25, that's got a chunk of rural north of Sioux Falls, if I remember correctly.
Yes.
But it's also got a chunk of the east side, like the northeast side of Sioux Falls, kind of.
Yep. Sioux Falls is pretty diced up for some reason.
Quotes in the air.
Yep. So Colton, Del Rapids, where I'm, and Garrettson. We have Valley Springs, so it wraps around Brandon, and then down to Valley Springs, and then we get the southeast chunk of Sioux Falls, the Dolly Farms area.
Sure.
Yeah. So,
and you're running as an independent because of the bailouts. For those who would like to know more about your stand on different issues and background, I mean, is there a side? Would you say you lean right or lean left, or is it by issue kind of a la carte thing, or where are you at?
Oh, I'd say I lean left. I think the working class needs better representation in all levels of government. I believe people have been struggling to pay medical bills and their insurance for too long, and when something does happen, then you have to fight with your insurance company. I mean, I was out in Valley Springs talking to several people who, they have health insurance, but then when they get sick, it doesn't cover what it needs to, and they're on the phone for, it's like a full-time job just to fight with your insurance company. Costs just keep going up and up. I mean, the Affordable Care Act was a step in the right direction, but in my mind, it was a handout to the insurance companies. I think.
What, as a state senator from District 25, could you do about that?
Well, when the federal government gives you the opportunity to expand Medicaid, you could take that opportunity instead of shunning it. And if we had to, if we all just pooled the money we spent on health insurance and health care, we could probably come up with a better just South Dakota Cares program. It's pretty impossible. We're a very low tax state, very pro-business. I'm not looking to drastically change anything on the South Dakota level, but I don't want our ethics board repealed. I don't want opportunities like expanding Medicaid to be ignored. I don't want our legislators to do what lobbyists tell them to do. Prefer they listen to their constituents, and I wish politicians could run more honestly and less on rhetoric and buzzwords. A lot of not the incumbent I'm running against, but the other candidates for the House, for example, in my district, will run on things like family, ethics, low taxes, and that's all they say, and that's, that wins. People love to hear, lower my taxes. That's great. Yeah. And you run on that, and that's awesome. But what's the alternative? What does the Democratic Party offer the people in this state?
Yeah.
I ask a lot of people, what do the Democrats stand for? I don't know what they stand for in this state. It seems like they're all stuck fighting battles from before I was born.
If we ever find one, we'll let you know. Oh, yeah, it's I don't know, just me personal opining here. It's just like, I feel like it's just like the Democrat or the Republicans are just way too, because I'm probably like libertarian almost in my bent, but the Republicans in the state are way too comfortable. They are way too, I can do anything and no one can touch me. And I mean, I've been to events where just from like our state reps and stuff like that, where I see just nothing but contempt for the people they represent. Like, like I've been to political events in Minnesota and other places, and I've never seen local representatives who act so like, the unwashed masses, like I've never seen it on the scale I've seen it here, and it's because they're way too comfortable. So just like part of me wants a few Democrats or independents in there, if nothing else, just to like scare them a little bit and remind them, hey, you actually do represent people, and losing is a possibility.
Right. Yeah, I think the Democrats need to run. They need to support working families more. They need to run on policies that will actually help them. That's why, since I am an independent, I have to run on positions. I can't run on a party. I can't run on rhetoric. So things I represent, obviously, and believe in are living wages, Medicare for all, and getting money out of politics. I think the last one, getting money out of politics, if we could solve that issue, the other two would have fixed themselves by now.
Yeah.
I think if you work a full-time job, you should be able to pay your bills. You should be able to support your family.
What? Craziness.
And what's the plan to fix the healthcare crisis? One example, one solution people offer is Medicare for All. It saves money. Even a study that was released to discredit Medicare for All proved that it saves us $2 trillion over 10 years. So I don't know if you're fiscally conservative. It seems like you should support Medicare for
I
All.
gotta tell you, as a fiscal conservative, I have no idea where the hell I land now, considering the spending going on in Washington. It's like, you're supposed to vote Republican, and that'll bring the fiscal conservatism, but history has not bared that out, let's put it that way.
Yeah,
At all.
It'd be nice, if people ran and then acted on what they ran on. 'Cause they say they want to limit government, but government gets bigger every year.
Well, they want to limit certain, like what they don't
like.
Yeah.
But yeah, limiting government, we could, let's say, limit the NSA, warrantless tapping of American citizens.
You're actually in favor of people having civil liberties and privacy? What?
Yeah.
Crazy. You come in here with these crazy ideas, pie in the sky, like freedom, and I don't know, man. That's pretty scary.
Yeah.
Especially that like living wages, working for families. I mean, what? Are you speaking Klingon right now? I don't know. Sorry, this election cycle has me very, very cynical. We just had an episode of South Dakota podcast where we were talking about our predictions for the election and stuff, and it's left me very demoralized and very cynical about the upcoming election, just to hear some of the people who've been watching it for a long time analyze it and tell me what's going to happen. And I'm like, but
No,
yeah.
People just need to do the research, try and get informed. It'd help if you turn cable news off. There's not much on there that's informing you. Mostly it's just whipping people into a frenzy, getting them to fight. If you actually talk to the people next to you, how do we solve these problems, you tend to find out we all kind of agree. Medicare for All has 70% support in the American population. That's 80% of Democrats and a majority, over 50% Republicans support it. Why isn't it law, or why hasn't it been passed? Well, money's kind of the reason I've come up with.
Yeah, and it sounds cliche or like you're beating a dead horse, but that's what it is. It's just like totally uncontrolled, unfettered money. Which, how do you control, money and spending in politics post Citizens United? You know,
you have to pass a law that makes that illegal. Like, corporations aren't people. Money's not speech. Speech is speech. People are people.
So at the Supreme Court level, that would take an amendment.
Yes, but
baby steps in the meantime, like at the South Dakota level, getting back to a little more local.
Right.
What can you do about the money issue in politics?
Well, we can vote yes on Amendment W. I don't think it's a coincidence. My last name is Wirth, W, Amendment W. I like it.
You're taking it as an omen.
We got to make sure that passes, and then we got to make sure that the people in charge this next session, set it up correctly. So elect honest politicians. Do your research. Don't just vote down the ticket. Many of your candidates have websites. You can contact them through phone numbers, call them, ask them what issues they support. Don't ask them what party they run on. Don't ask them what buzzwords they're using. Just what are they going to do to help you as a voter.
Absolutely. So, it's one thing to be upset about like the measure and stuff like that with like W and everything, and its precursors. But what in particular, like in your personal history and story, makes you wanna go to peer and get into that conversation?
I guess I've always been kind of concerned about ethics and laws and preventing fraud. I have for the past 12 years worked as a financial crimes investigator. First at Premier Bank Card and then now at MetaBank. I investigate cases involving tax fraud, money laundering, human trafficking, even marijuana businesses. just
So you would doubly scare the crap out of Pierre.
yeah, the last person they want there is probably me. Yes.
Yeah.
Because I can appropriately define the financial crimes that are taking place.
Yeah, I like that. That's a good selling point. Let's see. How can people learn more about you and your campaign and your stand on the issues? Like, if you just mentioned like reaching out and talking to you, how can people do that?
Yep, on Facebook. The website's www.brianwirth605.com. That has links to everything. It has a little bit more about me. You can contact me through the website, through Facebook. You can find my phone number, I believe, through Facebook. I'm not going to put it on a podcast. I'm not sure what that would do, but I did give out, a phone number. I have a business cards. I think I took any of those out to hundreds of people, and 2 people said they'd call me. Nobody called. Nobody seems to care. A lot of people are waiting for like the next presidential election to fix everything, and
yeah, it's tough.
That's not the case.
Midterms are tough, and I guess you can get mad about it, but I guess it's human nature. So it's like,
right.
And the thing with the midterm elections is just like, I felt like if we did something like held elections on Saturdays or made that a holiday or something like that,
that'd be a great idea.
And then the in the U.S. the voter registration system where it's just like every state has a random assortment of flaming hoops you have to jump through in order to be registered, and then there's a mechanism to kick you off the register and everything. It's just a hodgepodge. And I'm a very states' rights person, but I feel like we need some reform in just our election system, just so that it's a little more, democratic.
Sure. We need to get rid of things like cross-check. I don't know how familiar you are with that program.
Yeah.
South Dakota does participate in that. It's just, does your first name and last name match this type of person, and must be a fraudulent voter, and they kick you off.
Yep.
So, it's important for people to make sure you're registered and probably check to see if you're still registered, which is unfortunate.
Yeah.
You should be able to register to vote when you get your you can, when you get your driver's license, or just having a driver's license should be enough.
Yeah.
But yeah, we should have a holiday for voting, because lots of people work multiple jobs to make ends meet. We need to support being informed. We need to support being able to vote, and we need our leaders, our legislators, to represent people, not large corporate PAC money interest.
Sure. So, one last thing, anything else that you think the voters should... Here, actually, let's go with this. Usually my closing interview question is, if I lived in your district, why specifically over any other candidates running should I vote for you in particular?
Well, I believe I'm overly qualified. I did study this in college. I have studied it since. I have been working, like I said, as a financial crimes investigator. I have a family. I know what it's like to struggle to pay medical bills. I know what it's like to work for less than a living wage. My incumbent led the way to repeal Initiative Measure 22. She is not there to represent my district. She is there to take, lobbyist interests. And then it's actually a three-way race. So a little bit more about this race in particular. I tried to reach out, get involved, see if I could help somebody run a campaign, and didn't hear anything. In the meantime, the Democratic Party failed to nominate anyone to run against the incumbent. They sent the petitions in certified instead of registered. And there's a law that you have to send the petitions in registered mail, which if you ever send anything registered mail, it's pretty intense. You have to go to a post office, not a contract office, and they take out this old machine and they run this tape and this string, and then they stamp it about 142 times.
Oh yeah.
So since they didn't get all the petitions sent in correctly, they were disqualified. So that's when I started going door to door to make sure that my voters had a choice when it came to this little seat in South Dakota in District 25. You have an option to vote out the person who repealed your ethics board.
Sounds good. Well, Brian, thank you for joining us today. Sure. And you can learn more at brianwirth605.com. We'll also link to all of that in the show notes. Thanks for listening, everyone, and we'll see you next time.
Awesome.